My family's reaction to my lottery win. I won $847,000 on a Tuesday. By Friday, my brother had hired a lawyer, my sister wasn't returning my calls, and my mother said something I'll never forget. But here's the thing nobody saw coming. I hadn't told any of them the real amount. The number I gave them, I made it up. And what they did with that fake number told me everything I needed to know about the people I'd loved my entire life. This is the story of how winning the lottery cost me my family. Or maybe how it finally showed me who they really were all along.
Hey, story lover. Welcome to the Narrative Hub, Reddit Stories. Believe me, this adventure gets wild, but it's only epic with you. Seriously, you make this possible. Want more stories? Greater adventure? Smash subscribe right now. Smash like. Comment below. Let's go.
The countdown to the destruction of my life didn't start when the ball dropped. It started the moment I pulled into my driveway. I sat in my beat-up sedan, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird, staring at the front door of the house I shared with my brother, Mark Moore. Inside that house was a family dinner waiting to happen. My mother, Barbara Gonzalez, was coming over. My sister, Olivia Taylor, was bringing her new fiancé. It was supposed to be pot roast and polite conversation. Instead, I was walking in with a grenade in my pocket, and the pin was already pulled. But before I tell you about the dinner that ended it all, you need to understand the phone call I received 10 minutes prior. The one that made me realize I needed to lie about the number in the first place. I hadn't even cashed the ticket yet when my phone exploded. I had made the rookie mistake of sending a picture of the winning numbers to a trusted friend, who apparently had a mouth like a sieve. The first text wasn't a congratulations, it was from an unknown number. It read, "We know what you have. Don't forget who loaned you gas money in 2014. That message made my stomach drop. Winning the lottery didn't feel like winning anymore. That was the moment I realized my biggest battle wasn't with luck, it was with my own history. I deleted the text, wiped the sweat from my palms, and decided right then and there, I would give them a number. A life-changing number, but not the number. I needed to see if they loved Joshua White, the struggling graphic designer, or Joshua White, the walking ATM. I walked into the house. The smell of roasted beef was thick in the air. Mark was on the couch, watching a game. Barbara was in the kitchen, criticizing the way Olivia was cutting carrots. It was normal. It was safe. I cleared my throat. "I need everyone in the living room," I said. My voice sounded foreign, hollow. They gathered, annoyed at the interruption. I looked at their faces. Barbara, worn down by years of shift work. Mark, always looking for a shortcut. Olivia, perpetually stressed about wedding costs. "I won the lottery," I said. I thought telling my family about the win would spark a celebration. Instead, the room went silent, like the air got sucked out. Eyes changed, tones shifted. Nobody hugged me. Nobody screamed. "How much?" Mark asked. He didn't blink. He didn't smile. He just leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, looking like a predator spotting a wounded animal. $847,000, I lied. It was a specific number, believable, huge but finite. The silence that followed was heavy. Then my mother, Barbara, let out a breath she seemed to have been holding for decades. "Well," she said, smoothing her apron, "that's a start." A start? The next hour was a blur of negotiation disguised as family bonding. Olivia immediately brought up the venue deposit for her wedding, $20,000 she desperately needed by Monday. Mark went to the fridge, grabbed a beer, and started talking about a crypto mining rig he'd been researching. He wasn't asking, he was planning. "I haven't even cashed the ticket yet," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "And there are taxes." "Don't be stingy, Joshua," Barbara said, her voice dropping to that icy tone she used when I failed math tests as a kid. "We're family. We survive together. We thrive together. You owe us that much." I excused myself to the bathroom and locked the door. I turned on the faucet to mask the sound of my hyperventilating. They had already spent the money in their heads, all of it, but they were fighting over scraps. If they were this vicious over $800,000, what would they do if they knew the ticket in my back pocket was actually worth $62 million? I decided to run a test. A cruel test, maybe, but necessary. I had to know how deep the rot went. The next 48 hours were a masterclass in psychological warfare. Hour 12, my cousin Tyler Perez, who I hadn't spoken to in 6 years, showed up at my workplace. He didn't want to catch up. He wanted $50,000 for a guaranteed real estate flip. When I told him I couldn't access the funds yet, he kicked my tire so hard he left a dent. Hour 24, the text messages turned from requests to demands. But the breaking point, the moment I knew there was no going back, happened on Thursday night. I was at home, trying to sleep, when I heard a noise in the backyard. I checked the security camera feed on my phone. It was 2:14 a.m. My sister, Olivia, was climbing my back fence. She was holding a pair of bolt cutters. I watched in horror as she approached the back shed where she knew I kept a hidden safe, a safe that was currently empty, but she didn't know that. She wasn't there to visit. She was there to rob me. My little sister, who I used to carry to bed when she fell asleep watching movies, was breaking into my home because she couldn't wait 3 days for a handout. I didn't call the police. I did something worse. I let her break in, find the empty safe, and leave empty-handed. The next morning, I called a family meeting. This brings me to the hook that explains why I'm currently sitting in a hotel room 3 states away, with a new phone number. I sat them down. Barbara, Mark, Olivia. My father, Kenneth Jackson, was there too. He had driven 4 hours the moment he heard the news. "I have bad news," I said. I made myself look exhausted. I slumped my shoulders. I spoke to a financial advisor. I tried to leverage the ticket before cashing it to get us the money faster. I put it into a high-risk bond that Mark talked about. I lost it. It's gone. All of it. I'm actually in debt now. The explosion was instantaneous. Mark stood up and threw his chair against the wall. "You idiot!" he screamed, veins bulging in his neck. "You useless, incompetent parasite! That was my money! I had plans!" Olivia burst into tears, not for me, but for her wedding. "You ruined everything! You always ruin everything!" But it was my mother, Barbara, who delivered the killing blow, the words that still ring in my ears every time I close my eyes. She didn't yell. She just stared at me with a look of pure, unadulterated disgust. She walked over to her purse, pulled out a cigarette, and lit it inside the house, something she never did. She said, "I knew I should have focused on Mark. You were always a bad investment, Joshua, an expensive mistake. I should have left you with your father when I had the chance." The room fell silent. Even Mark stopped screaming. That was the moment, the severance, the clean break. I stood up. My posture straightened. The exhaustion vanished. I looked at Kenneth, who was shaking his head in disappointment, checking his watch as if calculating the gas money he'd wasted driving here. "You're right," I said softly. "I am a bad investment. For you." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the photocopy of the ticket. I placed it on the table. Good thing I didn't actually invest anything. And good thing the jackpot wasn't $847,000. They froze. Mark's eyes darted to the paper. Barbara, her cigarette halfway to her mouth. "It's $62 million. After taxes, it's about $42 million cash." The sound that came out of my mother was a gasp, a strangled noise of shock. Mark's face went red to white in a second. Olivia stopped crying instantly, a smile flickering onto her face like a glitch in a video game. "Joshua," Barbara started, her voice suddenly sweet, trembling. "Baby, I was just upset. You know how I get when I'm stressed. I didn't mean—" I recorded it. I interrupted. I recorded the last 10 minutes. I have you on tape saying I was a mistake. I have Mark screaming that it was his money. I backed toward the door. I Herod Legri opener did morning. He's the best in the state. If any of you contact me, show up at my house, or try to sue me, he will release the audio of this conversation to every neighbor, every friend, and every employer you have. You will be the family that disowned their son over a lie. Joshua, wait. Mark lunged forward, but Kenneth held him back, his eyes wide with panic. You wanted the money, I said, opening the door. You never wanted me. Now you have neither. I walked out. I didn't run. I walked to my car, got in, and drove. I blocked their numbers before I hit the highway. But the story doesn't end there. You see, when you win that kind of money, you attract more than just family leeches. You attract the past. 3 days ago, I was settling into my new life. I bought a modest house in a town where nobody knows my name. I was feeling safe. Then I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo of me taken yesterday walking out of the grocery store. On the back, in handwriting I recognized instantly, were 3 words. We're not done. It wasn't from Mark. It wasn't from Barbara. It was from the one person I hadn't seen at the family meeting. The one person I thought I could trust. My aunt, Amy Jones. The nice one. The one who had sent me a Bible verse when I won and asked for nothing. Turns out she was the one pulling the strings the whole time. She was the one who sent the text about the gas money. She was the one who drove Olivia to my house to break in. The others were loud. Amy was silent.
The others were loud. Amy was silent. And now she knows where I live. I'm recording this because I don't know what's going to happen next. I have $42 million in the bank, security guards at the gate, and a lawyer on speed dial. But as I look at that photo of me in the grocery store, I realize that winning the lottery didn't solve my problems. It just funded a war. And the person knocking at my door right now? It's not the pizza delivery guy. It's 3 a.m. I'm going to answer it, because I'm done running, and I have one more surprise for them. A surprise that involves the IRS and a folder of evidence I've been compiling since I was 16. They thought the money changed me. They were wrong. The money just gave me the teeth I always needed to bite back. Hold on. The knocking stopped. Now I hear glass breaking downstairs. This is Joshua White. If this recording ends abruptly, you know who to blame. But don't worry about me. I didn't just buy a house. I bought a very, very large dog. And I think he's hungry.